This is Beer Guys Radio. Welcome back, everybody. We're in the studio again, drinking beer and talking with some of our favorite people.
Indeed.
It's a good time. We have Nathan Schieber here, Cherry Street Brewing.
Yes, sir.
Mountain Man, Fisherman.
Man of many hats.
Guilty of all of the above, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Good stuff. Jason Pellett, Orpheus Brewing, also known to his Reddit friends as Jackson Poulet, Jarston Parfait, and any number of other things.
Yeah, all of those things.
Jason, how you been?
Busy.
Busy eating potatoes and brewing beer.
That's right.
So I rubbed the name off of this unmarked bottle or marked bottle, unlabeled bottle. What are we drinking right now, Jason?
This is in the shade a Silence Blooms Elijah Craig barrel aged barley wine.
Oh, very
This is one of our
nice.
member releases, but it will be pouring at our
Ooh.
barley wine fest in a couple weeks.
American barley wine?
English.
Good.
I don't know.
That was a trick
It's-
question,
I
Jason.
actually feel weird saying English because you don't go to England and get barley wines like this. This
English,
is like
yeah.
American barley wine 2.0.
This is an American
The
English
American
inspired
riff.
barley wine.
I
Let me
think
see. I haven't even taken a drink of it yet.
the big, well, you would know if you tasted it, because if it were the American style, which is generously hopped and usually has a good bitterness to it, yeah, it's unmistakable. So, but yes,
You're
I don't
a talented man, Jason Pellett.
Well, thank you.
Always love your beers, man. This is
it
stellar.
is fantastic. Yeah,
Good
indeed.
stuff. Well, y'all, we're going to jump into some radio here. If you have questions for any of us, comments, fishing tips, ask that. Potato recipes. We're covering a lot today, Nate. We're covering a
That's right,
lot. So
potato recipes.
let's do it. We'll be back to chat with you real soon.
Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show,
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yeah, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
Welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are broadcasting from the Beer Guys Radio Studios in Marietta, Georgia. This week, we're talking random beer topics, Brian.
We are.
We're going to do it. We've got a lot of hot topics to cover. I'm Tim Dennis, as you may know, or may not, if this is your first time tuning in. Thanks for joining us. And as always, I am here with my good friend and co-host, Brian Hewitt.
Hey, Tim. So joining us today, we have Jason Pellett, the brewmaster for Orpheus Brewing. We have Nathan Schieber. And I didn't get your official job title. Are you cellarman? Or are you forklift driver? What's the fishing guide?
No, technically, product development.
Product
So-
development.
go.
Product development with
Help
Cherry
recipes.
Street Brewing. Yeah.
That sounds cool.
So we're going to talk about, like you said, a lot of interesting topics that have
We
come
are.
up in the news about beer. And maybe we'll get into what's going on with the breweries as well.
Of course we will.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
guys, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you bet, man. Always a good time hanging with you
Absolutely.
guys. And inviting you on the show is actually selfish because it's so hard for us to sync up all the time. We're like, you know what? Let's just invite him to come hang with us in the studio.
Exactly. It's easy.
And drink some
Captive
beer. It's easy
audience,
for
yeah.
us, that's for sure.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, good stuff, guys. Appreciate you again, as Brian mentioned, joining us. We're into November now, and it just seems like the last couple months of the year always to me seem like it's just a mad dash. It's just absolutely insane. Pumpkin beers. I saw someone lamenting the other day they couldn't find pumpkin beers. Already gone. Are you guys
My prayers
pumpkin beer
have been
fans?
answered.
Do you Nathan, you a
not-
pumpkin beer man?
Not a fan. I actually have some in the car.
Do you?
Do you?
But yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but I get it. And yeah, it feels like we have to make them earlier and earlier every
So
year.
trunk aged pumpkin beer is what you're saying. Nice.
Trunkin.
Jeep aged, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Good stuff. Have you consumed pumpkin beers this season?
I did have one the other day.
Okay.
I do have to try the beers we make. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Jason, how about you?
I have never made a pumpkin beer.
I was going to ask if you'd ever made one. Do you drink them?
It's been a few years.
Okay.
I'm
Fair
actually
enough.
thinking like pumpkin as an ingredient. That's cool. Like I hate cloves.
Okay.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So your standard pumpkin spice, not a fan.
So somebody did, I believe it's been a few years, Lindemans did a pumpkin lambic. And I don't recall it being really good, but
don't
I
recall
like
either.
the idea of that. Like, that's an interesting ingredient. And would you consider making some form of sour pumpkin beer or wild pumpkin
I mean,
beer?
you could definitely go different directions than what's become like standard pumpkin beers. I mean, you could do. I mean, I think the best ones are ones that don't go that direction. Like the original, the Dogfish Head Pumpkin or whatever it's called.
Right.
Like that's actually a good beer. Never thought about going wild with it, but yeah, you can go that direction.
I was intrigued by it when I saw it. I'm like, well, I've got to try this. And now I'd have to go look on Untapped and see what I thought of it at the time. A lot of people complain about Untapped, but for me, I still go back and say, did I like that beer? Let me go look and see.
Let me see what I thought of that. I think it's just become like you were mentioning, Jason. You say pumpkin beer and the pumpkin spice is already assumed,
Right.
and based on a topic we're going to discuss here in a minute, I have not verified these facts. I will say that, but I heard that like in the colonies that pumpkin was used for fermentables.
Yeah,
in brews,
it's traditional in
to
American brewing.
an adjunct,
You know,
basically an adjunct
with cloves
to.
and cinnamon and stuff like that. Not so much.
One time there was like a basic girl, I'll say that basic girl that worked in a brewery, and boom, it became spice latte'd. That's how it happened.
No, what happened is Starbucks decided we're going to make a pumpkin spice latte, and people saw that. It's like, hang on, I bet you we could do that with beer.
What's the weirdest thing you have seen pumpkin spiced?
I don't even like spiced pumpkin pies. I think that's weird.
Okay,
Pumpkin, pumpkin, whipped cream. That's all you need in a pie, I say.
Fair enough. Just pumpkin and whipped cream. That sounds like the worst pie ever, Jason. I'm not coming over.
I mean, you got to cook it.
Oh, okay.
And I think some sweet.
No
condensed
cloves
milk,
though,
I guess.
right?
No cloves.
Yeah, I saw pumpkin spice salad and
God.
toilet paper.
Pumpkin.
Oh yeah.
So that's how far I've seen some of it go. Like you pull off the roll and it
What
throws
are
spice.
people
might be-
doing with the
that's-
toilet paper?
That might be the one thing that pumpkin spice could improve.
Toilet paper or salad. Yeah.
I think I saw cream cheese.
Okay. You know what?
I
I
could see
almost
that.
see
Pumpkin
that,
spice
man. I
cream
almost
cheese.
see that. Yeah. Toast you up like a nice bagel and
Yeah.
pumpkin cream
I mean, it
cheese.
feels like I've made like pumpkin cheesecake before.
Yeah.
That works well.
Like I love pumpkin bread. That's I don't
That's
I don't
pretty
really
solid
like
stuff,
pumpkin.
Yeah.
So I think we've shared this before, but we really killed ourselves on pumpkin beers because maybe 9 years ago now, Brian and another friend of ours, shout out to KBS, is his initials, but we did a pumpkin beer bottle share and we had like 13 different pumpkin beers. And this was back, who's the one that put Elysian?
Oh yeah, Dark of the Moon and all
They
those
put out a
ones,
whole
yeah.
bunch. So we had a ton of them. And I don't think that I have really desired a pumpkin beer since that share, that was enough to hold me forever.
They're unappealing to me now. I did what
Yeah.
most people have done to themselves with tequila. I still love tequila and can sip on tequila. I know people can't.
Yeah.
Did too much. We flew too high to the pumpkin sun
That's
and
right.
burnt our
You got
wings and
burnt.
fell into the non-pumpkin ocean or whatever. I don't know if that metaphor falls apart.
See, I mean, that's why people do it once a year.
yeah,
You think it's
That's it, that's
exciting,
enough.
you get your couple, and then you forget until the next year that it was like really not that great.
The
yeah.
McRib of beer.
That's right. I don't want to ruin myself for pumpkin pie when that comes around on Thanksgiving. Unlike
Yeah.
Jason, I enjoy the pumpkin pie.
I do.
I
Spice
love
it up,
pumpkin
too.
pie
Spice it
just
up.
without the spices.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I've ever had that. I'm not sure that I'm on board with you there, Jason.
I would have to
So,
try that to see. That's
I'm surprised since we're just past Halloween that they haven't done more Halloween inspired beers. Like you see some out there, but there's not a ton that are specifically geared to the Halloween season. I guess it's not a long enough season to do
Southern
that.
Tier, when they did their pumpkin, they did the Warlock, and so they
Yeah,
had, like, all
true.
different
You know, they kind of
versions,
tied
but
it in
that
there,
was
didn't they? That's
about
right.
it,
Okay.
yeah. Well, and they've
Okay,
been
fair.
around them. A lot of people swear by the Warlock. I had it and was a big fan of it.
It's just barrel aged, right? I mean,
I think that's a pumpkin stout, isn't it?
It's a stout.
chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was the
yeah, pumpkin
chocolate
stout.
one.
I definitely like that. I mean, it's been years since I had either, but definitely like that one more than the pumpkin, whatever it's called.
Pumpkin.
All
yeah.
the pumpkin
I
beers.
think the best one I ever had was Great Lakes Brewing. They did a pumpkin, barrel aged pumpkin. That was
I mean, their
pretty
beers
good.
are so like subtle. And
Yeah, it was
understated.
super subtle. Yeah.
Is it Avery that does a barrel aged rumpkin or something like that? I
Yeah,
like
they do
that
the
back in the
Kentucky,
day. Yeah.
Kentucky Rumpkin, where the double barreled and all that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would try
It's
that.
like 28%
I would give that
or
a shot.
something also. So
yeah,
like,
it's basically
It'll get
bourbon
you
with a
there.
little bit of pumpkin in it. I'm like, of course I like it.
There's got to be pumpkins. You were talking about pastry bourbons. We were talking about those just recently.
Yes.
There's got to be a
And pastry peanut butters,
pumpkin
but
pie
pastry bourbons.
spiced. Did
Yeah.
you have any pumpkin peanut butter, Brian?
I don't know. You know what? I didn't see any. I bought a bunch of exotic peanut butters from a New Zealand peanut butter making company, and they have a lot of maple, and they have a lot of they've got coffee in some of them, and they've got chocolate in a bunch of them. No pumpkin though that I saw.
Too
So
bad.
I did not
That's
get
too
any of that.
bad. Maybe next time.
Tim, we should probably get into the beers of the week before we lose all of segment 1 here.
Brian, oh my gosh, we have just an insane number of great beers to get into. As always, want to thank our friends at The Nest for sponsoring this segment. They were going to try and join us tonight. Adam from The Nest was going to try and join us, but said he couldn't do it. Couldn't get childcare. He's got to be the family man today. But definitely check them out for your craft beer and barbecue needs. As it's cooling down, they have KSU Stew, which in Georgia, Brunswick stew is a pretty traditional barbecue thing. So you can try that out. Get you a sandwich, get you a stew. Good
Sure.
for the fall weather. Absolutely. Brian, for the beers out here, I'm going to mispronounce several of them. Rothaus Pills from Tannen Zapfel. Jason, you know these pronunciations pretty well, right?
I mean, I think most people say Rot House.
It's Rot House.
I'm no
Okay.
expert.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think you're right, and I think
All
it's alternate names for the same thing, but Rothaus is the brewery, so I like them a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
One of
From-
my favorites.
From Cherry Street, we have Peach Dame beer. From Dry Fontaine, and we have the Oud Geuze, one of my personal favorites. From Lost Abbey, which is relevant because we're going to talk about them a little bit later. We have Track 10, which is a bourbon barrel aged with coffee. Brian, what's the style? You just said BBA.
Oh, it's an Imperial Stout. Yeah.
BBA Imperial Stout with coffee and cacao nibs. From Orpheus, like a white curtain blowing in the wind, blowing in the draft.
From a half-open window
Yes.
beside a chair on which nobody sits.
There you
Upon
go,
which
man.
no
That's the
sits.
one.
Yes.
And that is a wild ale aged in wine barrels. We also have the one we're currently sipping, a barley wine that is phenomenal. And what
From
was the barrel?
Orpheus.
That's Elijah Craig.
Elijah Craig. So that's good stuff. And you know what? That's it. We're out of time.
We're
You're
out of
listening to the
time.
Beer Guys Radio Show. We'll be back to talk Lambic right after this.
Is that the right gesture for this?
I think
with,
so.
with this.
Holy shit, that's good.
That's and honestly,
So much
we've got
barrel.
this other one. This is a different. This is a different
That's
barrel or a different.
It's totally different barley wine.
Okay.
Different base barley wine. That's Jim Beam Masterpiece PX Sherry finishing
Ooh.
cask.
Was the Like a White Curtain yours?
It is,
Okay.
yes. It's, I believe, I'm fairly certain it's the last one I have. I had two at one point in time. I don't remember when I had the other one. Last time you were on, I mentioned that I had it, and then you finished yours. I'm like, well, he's coming back on. When is the most appropriate time to have a good beer? When you can drink it with the brewmaster that made it, so
Sure,
they can
that
wax
makes
poetic
sense.
about it
I feel
while
that.
you're enjoying it. So
I'm excited.
that.
yeah, I am too. Hopefully, I've held it in good enough condition that it will hold up well. Knock on wood. You never
You
know.
want to
with these
open
things.
that one? That's
We
that's
can.
mixed. That's wild ale. You
We
want to
could
open
do
that
that,
for the
yeah.
Lambic
We
talk,
could
or
do
do we
that.
want to open the Dre Geuze?
What do you guys think? Let's get into that one first. Yeah, it's
Okay.
special before we get too deep into barley wines and such.
Let's open that one next. Let's get the Dre Geuze to lead into the Lambic talk, and we'll segue into that. How
Oh, we
about
can do
that?
Yeah.
I brought that peach dame beer from this year.
I'm so excited.
It's
I love that
fruit,
beer.
it's just a
Oh, the peach brandy
Yeah,
beer.
please,
I've
thank
almost
you.
bought those a few times.
yeah, dude. It was a
Peach brandy.
Did that
CBC
make-
special?
Yeah.
yeah, dude. I
Did
got
that
one.
make it into distribution? I haven't looked around too closely, but I have. If I'd seen that, I think I would have picked it
No,
up.
but we are gonna start distributing barrel aged barley wine. We blended we're gonna blend like 6 casks together. That and
thought I might get
barrel-aged
lucky, get a little-
Oasis is gonna start rolling
Little
out.
drippy drip with
Barrel
that.
aged Oasis.
Oh,
So start rolling out. Yeah. So we found we had so many Buffalo Trace barrels of it that we were just like, let's just blend them all together and
I
send it out.
I didn't even put it on the list because I saw you were bringing that Dame beer, but I'd already put it in my cooler. I have a Dame beer from 2016 that you released.
Oh shit.
So
I saw y'all
I
were
thought-
doing like a 7-year tasting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Of all
I-
the
so-
12 we had, we went back and looked, and we have them from like 2015.
yeah, so the 16 is I think probably the earliest one I have, and
That's the old style bottle, right?
It
The
is.
long neck?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
When are y'all doing that?
The week, so I think the week starts out on the 5th, so 12/5.
Hey, there's
Uh,
Steve and Pete.
So it's basically leading
Mr.
all the way
Cheers
to
from
12/12.
Kettle
Cheers,
Oh, that
Steven.
makes
Cheers.
sense. Well, shit, I'll be in Europe.
Well, dang it.
I saw your comments
pretty
late
sweet,
last
though.
week, Steven, like 2
Yeah.
days later.
What's up, Steven?
Cheers, Steven. Oh yeah, I need to rinse.
Our
it.
number one fan. He doesn't miss a show. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Or- I don't want to steal your special
No,
water.
it's fine. It's not really special. It's not very filtered. I've got a filter in here, but
I'm not.
if you don't care,
That's good.
This is a favorite.
Oh, thanks. Nate.
Always.
get you a little of that.
Thank you.
Jason, we got a bottle up there. Porter, whatever their last anniversary was, I think, in 21. We got a 2001 bottle next to the 20
What?
of Dry Fontaine, the Oud Geuze.
Oh,
So they had some in their cellar, and it was it 65 or 75 bucks?
Something like that.
20-year-old bottle of Dry Fontaine, and I thought that was a pretty good bargain
That's a pretty
considering what
good
it
deal.
was. So yeah, we had to do that.
Yeah, I'm like
It was fun. We shared it with
$7.50?
all the
Thank you.
tables around us and stuff. So
Oh, please do. Yes, give. We need to get a lambic basket for the studio. I was
We
looking
do.
at. That's good. That's good. I was looking at. I was looking at it for the book. They're selling it on the Drew Fontaine website. The book about this new book about lambic, but I also saw that they had lambic baskets on there. I'm like, oh,
there we go.
maybe I'll buy both. I didn't buy either, but I looked on there. I'm like, all the lambic baskets
Got a
were
little
sold out,
extra
and I
flavor.
felt
Got a little thickness.
I felt really
there.
disappointed by that, and I couldn't
Yeah.
proceed with the book. I may have made a mistake. On
They
that,
were
but
selling the book about.
Yes.
Okay.
I
All right.
nearly bought it last night. I decided that I was disappointed by the lack of lambic baskets because I had my heart set on it as soon as I saw them on there, and I couldn't proceed with the transaction. So I thought
Okay.
if I still feel the yearning for it today or tomorrow, I'll probably go get it if it's still there.
I mean,
So-
Cantillon probably has them available.
I heard that
That's-
people were having trouble buying it from the Cantillon
Really?
website. Yeah,
Ah,
from what
alright.
I saw, I didn't try it, but there was credit card processing problems.
Where is Dre Fontaine? Are they in the Pechioten land?
They're
I
in
think-
Brussels. but
They're in
on
Brussels?
the-
Okay.
More on the outskirts.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, it's the one that's most in is Cantillon. Like
When
just technically, I guess, right outside the
Yeah,
wall or something like
I
that.
read that in that article. I was like, oh, how that's not Brussels? Because it's like when you're there, you're like, this is
Technically.
definitely Brussels. It's like less than half a mile from the MIDI station,
Okay,
like the central station. So it's weird that's not technically Brussels, but I don't know. If you're there, you're in Brussels.
that's just like the
Okay.
Brave Stadium is technically still in Atlanta, despite
doesn't
what
feel like
everyone
Atlanta.
in
It doesn't
Atlanta
feel
wants
like
to say.
it.
Right? I
That's such
know. I know.
That's such crap.
it feels like Tennessee.
Technically Atlanta. Technically Atlanta. Good stuff. I tell you what, let's get on back in and we'll start talking lambic here.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
A very scholarly discussion about lambic and the
That's
history
right.
thereof.
From all us scholars.
So
All
I
right.
got corduroy elbow patches.
Brian,
if
shut up
anybody
in
needs
your
one.
face.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Cannonball coming.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Remember, all episodes are available on demand. So if you missed the broadcast, get the podcast. Beer Guys Radio is available on the Podcast Park and all popular and unpopular podcasting apps. Now let's get back to the show.
Brian, we've got a hot topic, a hot take here
Yes,
this week. It's not our hot take. We're just reading and share the story of others' hot takes.
indeed.
But everything that we think we may know about lambic may be wrong.
That's true.
What do you think about that? Jason, what do you know about the history of lambic and geuze?
Well, I'll say the things that this new book thought most of us knew already.
Okay. So you don't feel this is revolutionary information.
I think there is some like specific like things about like public pronouncements about how much grain is in beer means it's lambic, stuff like that. I think, okay, that's historical record. I don't care as much about that. But the stuff like where was it developed? How long has it been around? Is there anything special about the microbes in the Pellett land? I think that stuff is like, if you really pay attention, you knew that the story wasn't really true.
Didn't quite hold up. Brian, I tell you what, when we back up, why don't you set us up for what we're talking about here?
Yeah, so this is I got to give a hat tip to Zethophile, a beer blog, and for pointing this out. He read through the book Lambic, The Untamed Brussels Beer Origin, Evolution, and Future, and a guy basically went through and did some scholarly research, all of the available historical information to see what is in fact the history of Lambic and geuze, and he's found it's a little different than what you might find out from the Horal. Is that am I saying that right?
Right.
The council that oversees everything about Lambic and geuze.
So what's kind of been passed around in popular stories is Lambic goes back to like 6 centuries.
Yeah.
And was founded in the Pellett
land
of Belgium. The Belgian
Seine
countryside.
Like the Valley of the
And-
Seine, I think is what also
Yeah.
another name for it.
Is it Lambic? Is the village there that
Lambic?
they claim it was named
Frank Bone,
for?
who's from Lambic, says it's
Royal
from there.
edicts on the amount of grain that had to be used in beers and all that. And that's kind of the story that's been passed through generations. That, according to this book and this article on Zethophile, that's not true. Correct?
Correct. What he's saying is all the material he's finding, historically speaking, puts Lambic being created in the latter quarter of the 18th century in the city of Brussels, not in the farmland. It's not traditionally grown up from 600 years of people just spontaneously brewing things, kind of an not uncivilized, but an unsophisticated sort of way. It was a very intentional design they wanted to make a strong, long-lasting, and tasty beer. And as we well know, Lambics, you can sit on those for 20 years,
Sure.
and they're beautiful beers.
Longer, if you want to. Right?
Absolutely. So in the actual brewing of Lambic in the Pellett land didn't come until much later. So it's just kind of the opposite. So much shorter time frame. They put forward that the possibility that some of the spontaneous brewing methods may have actually been learned from the English, which I think is the hardest thing to possibly believe. I don't know what you guys think about that.
No, I mean, I think that was already accepted in some of the like Flemish brewing. This was inspired by English brewing. So it's certainly not a stretch to think that the Lambic brewing, I mean, and there would have been a lot of cross currents. But the blending, the Brett, which was, it's called Brett as British yeast. I mean, this is, they've known even before they knew what isolated microbes were, what yeast was, they've known that this character means that your beer will last longer.
And part of what it does to last longer is those bacteria chew up everything that could be spoiled or used by other bacteria to ruin or make the beverage dangerous.
Right. I mean, so yeah, Brett, which is a yeast, not a bacteria, but yeah, so it is aggressive, so it won't leave much behind for other microbes. And it's also like it scavenges oxygen. It slowly metabolizes all sorts of compounds. So you're actually, as you're aging, instead of the beer degrading, you're actually developing new compounds that are nice instead of just make your beer taste old.
Yeah.
Now, Horal, which is the High Council for Artisanal Lambic Beers. That's, of course, not the Dutch standing for it, but they say they disagree with the recent disagreement, correct?
Yeah, I don't know that there's been an official response to the book because the book is fairly new, but yeah,
But on their website, they give the original version,
a
we
historical
talked about, right?
version that says, hey, this sprung up from people traditionally brewing. They say at one point in time, all beers were spontaneously brewed, and it was just like this. And because of the nature of the microbes, it's like this style is the oldest one produced because could have only come from their area. Originated there because of the nature of the microbes. So they say they have a perfect pedigree. They also have things about, like you were saying, that the proclamations and edicts, which the author of this book determined that at least one of those edicts or proclamations never actually occurred or was never recorded. It was made up, potentially made up by a historian in 1847, and then repeated ad nauseum until it just became accepted fact or accepted history. And it's not necessarily the case. The other interesting thing is there's another edict about the ratios of wheat that we talked about, 1559. And they were talking about how the ratio of wheat in the grist matched exactly the modern version of what a lambic would use. The thing is the translation that was left out, it also included oats in that. So it's like, this doesn't match. This isn't a lambic recipe. This is something else.
They were brewing hazies, man.
Yeah, they were brewing
They were
hazy
brewing the
lambics.
haze.
And
They were haze brewing back there. Yeah.
exact, like in there's no exact percentage of wheat in lambic anyway. So this is like in the 30%, in that
30%.
range.
Yeah,
So that's not exact anyway.
And don't forget your lactose.
exactly.
That's
You that
required.
could be
Royal
talking about
edict.
like a Vit beer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's that, and those two edicts, the proclamations, whatever you want to call them, are two of the things they use to establish the history, the pedigree of lambic going back 600, 700 years into the past in the Seine Valley. And I mean, that's not the indication. If it's possible that they were brewing it earlier than that, but the problem is there's no record of it. So either they were doing it and they left no record, or they weren't doing it and it really originated in Brussels. And that's the thing that we can't possibly really know. But the actual established record apparently doesn't leave any room for them to have done it there anyway. So
And the thing is, and we know this is very obvious now, but it actually records of alcohol brewing, alcohol has been taxed, alcohol has been regulated and recorded for a long time. And this idea that lambic existed in the Seine Valley and just nobody said anything about it for hundreds of years is kind of absurd.
does
If-
seem unlikely.
If
Yeah.
500 years from now they talk about the whiskey brewed up in Nathan's Neck of Georgia, we're not going to have a lot of records of that.
That's a good point. There
So
would have been
that's-
some.
My granddaddy made some whiskey in North Carolina back in the 40s and 50s, and I can guarantee you there's no records
There's some
there
records.
to trace it down.
Maybe not of your granddaddy.
There's some, sure, there's some up there, but it's not going to be as well documented as the folks in Belgium doing it from their breweries and such.
So the one caveat I think that I have to bring up that the author of the article going over, the book was reportedly subsidized by the owner of Cantillon and highly praised by it. And I don't think he's on the best terms with Horhall, and
he's not in Horhall.
Yeah,
so.
he's not. And I think he left. He was in at one point and left, or the brewery was.
I don't know that he's ever been. It's
I don't
certainly
think
been
he-
a long time, because I know the first
Yeah.
Horhall blend in like 2009 did not include any Cantillon.
Okay. So maybe
there you
never
go.
was. I thought that there was a little bit of bad blood, but there's a little bit of a vested, possibly financial / marketing interest. So
mean-
it potentially could skew the research a little bit. And honestly, if you don't read and speak French and or Dutch, going back to the dialects that they used back then, how would you know? It's really difficult for anybody as an outsider to go in and take a look and say, well, no, you did it wrong.
Crazy stuff, man. Interesting to contemplate for sure. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We need to take a break, but we will be back very soon to talk more craft beer. I have to focus really hard for "we'll be back," not to turn into some Elber Fudd talk there.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
So
Maybe that's how it started with him.
that was fun. We got
It
the right
was.
person on. He already knew most of this
Yeah,
stuff. He's like,
that's-
yeah, I
If you're
knew
gonna be like,
this.
Nathan, what do you think? I'll be like, I don't know. You got a lambic expert.
I was gonna try and get Nathan involved in
Why
that
would you not
conversation.
just ask him? Be like, I'll refer to Jason.
I I was thinking like, can we get Schieber in there anywhere? I don't know if we can. I don't know.
Because I would just be like, I don't know. I just text Jason when I have a question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you know any of the history of it? Because honestly, I was not very strong in the history myself. When I was reading this, I'm like, oh, really? Okay. Oh, I had no idea. All right.
But I'm not.
No, that's true, man. That's all you if you want it.
No, buddy. I'm
Tribulation for you, man.
You get it.
I think the thing that will have the possibly most profound market and
So why'd you swirl it and then pour slowly? That seems counterproductive.
There's been this idea, and I've fought against it with people for years, that there's something special about the microbes in the Zen Valley.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just bullshit.
And we've seen people produce world-class method traditional, and I didn't even get to that point. And I'm like, does this kind of negate the need for using that? Because I'm like, that's kind of assumes that you're referencing you're using that because you're doing it outside of the Sen Valley, and maybe that's not,
to me. That's not I don't do it because I do that not because I respect the history of Lambic. It's because I respect Frank Bone and like the people who want to protect Lambic name. I respect. This is the beer that made me want to open a brewery. Like if they're gonna say you shouldn't use the name Lambic, I'm like, okay, I won't.
You can
That's
use
a
it now
fair
because they're
point.
full of it apparently. So they're just making
like,
stuff up.
I mean, John Van Roy also doesn't want you to use.
no,
Lambic.
fair enough.
I mean,
fair
but
enough.
also like
neither
whatever.
people
So
do.
they're wrong
Yeah.
about the history. Possibly, it doesn't mean that I don't respect. They're still like they're the people that got me into it.
Yeah. Who was it we talked with about naming of they didn't like American Wild Ale? Was it Crooked Stave? Chad? Is it Jacobson?
Yeah, that sounds
I think
familiar.
it may have if y'all look this up, I don't remember if it was that show, but I think it could have been him.
Was it sour that he didn't like, or was it wild?
Well, I don't think he liked American Wild Ale. Or it also could have been the guy that he was
I was thinking he didn't like sour because a lot of this stuff isn't necessarily sour.
I know he didn't like horse blanket
Ah,
and those kind of descriptors.
And
He didn't
also
like those
American
at all.
Wild. If I'm Chad and I'm doing all these like cultured Bretts, what's wild about that? I hate.
Yeah.
On the other hand, on the other side, because I do wild stuff, I hate when people are using cultured microbes and call it wild.
Call it a wild ale. Yeah, there was
you grew
I
this
wish
up on
I
a
could
petri
remember-
dish. There's nothing wild about it.
Wild about it.
we talked to so many people about this stuff that I do get crossed up on the who what of different things, because we were talking to, it may have been our mutual friend recently, that they said that they did mixed, I think they call them mixed culture or mixed fermentation beers.
I think
And
I'm sharing a tape. No, it's with other half. They're right next to me. At
the
Les
dude that was
Bons
on our
this
show
weekend.
for OMF is going to be up there, because when we were talking,
Okay,
he's like, oh, I'll
cool.
be at that
I'll be right
festival.
next to him.
So cool, man. But he was saying, he's like, no, we've done some wild ales, but what we do now is not wild, and we're not going to use that because that's not what we're doing here. So
That does make a lot of sense when I think about it. If they do say it's like, yeah, we got this. Here's the thing: house culture. If it really did just kind of spontaneously happen, that's still kind of wild, right? Or does it stop
so,
being
like,
wild after you reuse it long enough that it's kind of, I don't know.
I mean,
domesticated?
We maintain like our mother is propagated every time we brew the sour beer with unpasteurized wort. So it's at no point did we stabilize it and say this is where it's at. I mean, it is a dozens of microbes mixed culture that we just let evolve.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating. No matter what the story is, what the origins are, it's not going to change. What I enjoy of it.
Now I wish I'd brought some Yesternow or Everything Lasts Forever, because I have bottles of those, but I brought the White Curtain instead.
I'll take that.
Jason, you get it. Let's open that. Let's
Yeah,
get that open.
Oh, get it open.
Let's open
All
the
right.
White Curtain, and then I see a Dame beer here. That'll be next
letting
up.
it warm up a little.
Yeah.
All right.
Jason, you get to pick one Lambic or Geuze, and that's all you can drink. Just one. What one is it? We need to put Jeopardy music on our soundboard.
I got mine.
All right, we'll go to Nathan. What are you drinking?
Bone Creek.
Okay. All
That's
right.
it.
That's it.
Just
Boone
straight
Creek.
up.
Voyage
Yep.
Parfait or the
Oh yeah.
Food Creek or
The Oud Creek. It's just Marriage
I mean-
Parfait is good.
I don't know. I'm a really big fan of.
This is a
It's-
tough
it's
one.
batch to batch.
I know. I've heard him here with this. No, you got to choose one. You can't go.
Regret it forever, but you
All
can't
You
right,
have
change
to
your
base
mind.
this off
Golden blend.
golden blend. Okay.
Great.
All right. Fair enough.
All right.
Though I
So-
really do love like the couple like Cantillon, Saint Geloy, Iris. Some of the less traditional Cantillon ones are some of my favorites.
I have to be honest, and I know this is the old controversial opinion, but as a blanket statement, I have not been impressed with Cantillon. There's some I enjoy quite a lot. Dre Fontaine, that's the one for me that if I have to pick one, and I've had great ones from a bunch of other places, but that dude geuze right there would be the one that if I had to choose one, it's been consistent, always enjoyable. I'm on it.
The Vigneron.
that looks pretty good for
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
That's like I've
smells
had
pretty good. Smells winey.
I've had some from Fantome that are stellar and others that are just an absolute train wreck, you know.
I think one of the last Phantoms I had was like straight baby oil. Like
Oh, good.
consistency,
Fun.
it was
I'm still
just
simping.
super pedio, and it was great, but it was oh my god, the consistency killed me.
Well, yeah, I've had some
Ropey.
Phantom that actually I brought back a bunch from Belgium a few years ago, and like the first one that I opened was sick as fuck.
Yeah.
And so I just like marked on all the rest of the bottles, don't open until like a date 6 months later. And they were
Yeah.
all great by then.
Oh yeah.
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 Oh, the ropey. That's pedio, and then
Pedio,
Brett
that's-
eats through it. Is that
Yeah,
what happens?
yeah.
Brett eats it
So-
up. Yeah.
So a lot like we have our beers get sick sometimes, but you know, Jean Van Roy says beer must get sick to get strong.
Okay. What doesn't kill you
it
makes
gets
you
better.
stronger,
Yeah, it gets
right?
it stronger.
Yeah, so
Correct.
I think every time I did like a wild or mixed culture, it
Set that
was
over here. So
Yeah,
you get
put
a
it
chance
in-
to get
put it in
some
the
bars.
line up
seeing
there,
the
man.
sick phase when you could shake it and you could see that top
What's
layer.
that?
just-
No, they can
so
stay here. Don't take my
weird.
so
bottles.
strange.
No, they're
And you're
mine.
like, okay, I'm not in control here. That's okay.
I,
This is
I got
crazy.
I got
That's
a
quite
wicked
nice.
Wicked Weed had one.
That
It
was
was
our
either
third
their
anniversary beer.
White Angel or Golden Angel. I think Golden Angel that released Ropey, and
Mm.
people just lost it, and they're like,
They released it, Ropey?
well,
That's kinda
yeah,
weird.
people were, but I don't think it was all of the bottles. So people went
Oh.
to the release because at that time you'd go to the release and they'd sell out in like one day.
The bottom half of the tank was fine, but at the top,
That top half.
so those
Them
last
ropes,
bottles,
them
I,
ropes.
I still have
They got
those.
the shittiest aged hops.
They
Yeah.
do.
I
Yes.
still have those
The last
Golden
pick.
Angel bottles. I don't know if
Do ya?
they're probably
How do you
all right.
I
yeah.
believe it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
the White Angel, I think, was the one
Oh,
with
and-
grape, and
the white grape them.
I'm gonna tell you, I've got my issues with Wicked Weed, but that beer was phenomenal.
I
That
also
was
still have a bottle of that.
Yeah, that one was
You
good.
know, Andrew
so-
Zinn's places, he just he was the wood manager there for many years.
Mhm.
I think he just brewed his first beer is this week brewing his first beer at his brewery.
What's
in,
his place? Do you know?
Leveler Brewing.
Leveler. Okay.
in,
Is it
uh,
Asheville?
Well, it's called Weaverville.
Okay.
Like almost across the street from Zebulon.
Okay, in that neck of the woods.
Oh, I've
up
been to
there, the
Zebulon, okay.
Asheville-ish.
Yeah, so that's the place to be.
So if you said that was your third anniversary, like what are you? Was it 8 this year?
We did, 8 was
Okay,
so yeah,
All right.
8.5 now. So this is bottled
17 or
6 years
si-
ago.
Okay, 2016. Okay, cool.
Do you know of any other beer names longer than that one?
So there are a few that I've seen, but like that includes like
Baron.
stylistic stuff in
Okay.
the name.
Yeah.
So if you just tack on like Imperial Stout aged in blah blah barrels onto your name,
right.
yeah, that's a long name.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
sure.
I think Burial has like really long names, right?
People are always like, "Oh, you took that from
Persistency.
Burial." I'm like, "Motherfucker, look at the history. I
Yeah.
was doing this before them."
Yeah,
That's what they
No offense to
say.
Burial,
Yeah.
That's
but-
not what's documented by the Belgian monks.
That's right. They've looked through the history and everything.
Oral says.
That's
That's
right. They says it was always burial.
Document that.
Yeah.
We should write. We should be Goral. the Georgia.
I gotta take a picture of this.
Goral. Yeah, absolutely.
Of this one.
Yeah, I opened my last bottle last year.
Let's say if there's still more in there, I want some of them.
No, I haven't had any yet.
Oh, jeez, Tim, you are always the last. God, I didn't bring my knife.
Oh
I had a
man,
nice
see,
fix blade.
You didn't bring a
Yeah,
knife.
get you a nice fixie.
You didn't bring a knife to a knife fight. You knew what this was going to be.
Know. Dude, as soon as I left my house this morning, I was like, oh,
I'm going to. Oh no, I want to see those guys.
no,
You should have got one with my
got a
face.
farrier's. It's a farrier's rasp turned into a knife.
Okay,
So I have it
All
face.
I've seen on some of the knife forums.
Now
There's
you
guys
remember.
that do the file knives.
It's a file
but that's our
knife,
things. Yeah,
It's a deer knife for
that's cool. Man.
deer season.
That's
I,
cool.
I wish that I had more of them, but I don't. I mean, I
was
can
up
only
at
buy
Cherry
so
Street,
many
one
beers.
of the fests up there, and they had a dude like he was an iron worker, and he had bottle openers and stuff, and he had some knives that he'd made out like railroad spikes or something that he turned into some knives. So
I've seen people turn like giant wrenches for like giant plumbing wrenches into, for some reason, turn that into a knife. I'm like, well, neat, but why?
There's easier ways to make a knife.
there are.
It's
What are you
probably
carrying today, Jason? What's your knife?
It's actually, I'm ashamed. I went to pull out a knife at the brewery a few hours ago. I was like, fuck, I don't have a
No
knife.
I left
knife.
my house without mine.
You
It's
start
probably-
feeling naked, you get
probably-
used to carrying one.
I brought enough knife for all of us.
Jesus, buddy.
It's really not that much longer than
always-
any of them. It's just really thick. It's a
really,
cleaver.
That's like a Santoku.
Yours is too
That's how
too
I,
hard to
that's how I
open.
explain my
it kind of is.
wiener. It's really not
Do
that
you
long,
have
it's
good
just
kitchen
thick.
knives? I would imagine you have nice kitchen knives.
Yeah, I mainly use Shun and Global.
Okay. Yep. I looked at one. So Blade Show Atlanta was a few months ago, just an amazing. And I looked at one that was a custom handmade, had like the hexagonal or octagonal handle on it, really gorgeous wood. I'm like, that's a gorgeous knife. And the size was nice. And it was $1,600. So I'm like, no. So I'll spend a bit on a good knife, but I'm not $1,600 good.
See,
on a knife.
unfortunately, I would love a really nice like pocket knife
Yeah.
to carry around, but I lose them. Like I've gone through.
Okay.
I figured out my favorite Home Depot knives.
Yeah.
I figured out my favorite. I'm talking like under $10 knives
Okay.
from Amazon and Home Depot because I
Yeah.
know they're disposables. Like I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose them.
I'm gonna leave it on a keg.
Here's
or
the trick
something.
that they tell you, like with
calm.
I leave my
sunglasses, buy
glasses
you.
on a fucking keg.
But that's the thing is you buy an expensive one, and that helps you to remember. Drop you $500 on a pocket knife, you're not going to leave it.
Oh, I
He
would.
still will.
I
bet
left
you
my
that
glasses in the brewery
$500, I will.
constantly. Like
Well-
it's been my glasses were found, fortunately, on a keg about to be shipped to South Carolina.
Okay, that found
Flashlights,
See, that's
knives. all
one
on gas.
time I messed up, and I like pens too. And years ago, I started my own business. When I did, I bought a platinum Mont Blanc rollerball pen.
Oh, nice.
Really expensive pen, and I used to carry it. Then I signed a check at Taco Mac and left this nearly $500 pen sitting on the table at Taco Mac. And I realized it like I got home, and fortunately it wasn't that far from me. I was like, hey y'all. And the person I talked to, he's like, yeah, I noticed that as soon as you left. And I'm like, someone will be back for this. So I lucked up and they got my pen. It's still
You
out
never
off there. I
took
do.
it-
Nice.
I do, man.
Never
I-
took it away from the house again. did
No, it is in the box, in the padded case, put up on the shelf. Yes.
Yeah, that's where all of my knives
Yeah,
and
that's-
anything peripheral should be.
That's now just a collector's. That's just a heritage piece now. So I don't want to go through that.
The pricey stuff I have usually doesn't leave my desk at home just because of the same reasons. But I don't work in kind of a situation where it's manufacturing, basically, where you'll use stuff heavily. I'm never going to take one of my really sexy, very shiny, like ornamental knives, basically. Like they'll get the job done, good blade steel, but really they're just for looks, kind of like they've gone beyond being practical. So I
What
leave
would
those at
be-
home and take something like this that I paid. The one I'm carrying, I paid. Well, it's more than that, but with a bunch of deals, I paid $20 for it. I love it. It's a ridiculous knife. Love it.
What's the most you would be comfortable carrying? Like, is there a price point that would be too
I
far?
I would be fine with the like the 150, 160, the Benchmade stuff that I
Well,
carry, because that's a utility knife.
you
It's like a
know-
really good utility knife.
So I carry that one. That was $3. So that's
$3.
no.
$3.
300.
Yeah. So no.
Shit.
So that one was one. It's like aircraft grade aluminum and nice steel and everything and that.
I mean,
so.
that's
Make sure you didn't
great
let that thing go.
Yeah.
action.
And
the action on
and
that
it's
is
so bright blue, you would not lose it in the brewery.
Yeah.
You just look around the brewery and all the light reflecting off of it that blinds everybody would be that knife.
but
I would
there's
like to think that I wouldn't lose this knife, but I know better.
yeah.
Yeah.
You could get it etched if found, please return to. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's and it's lighter than you would
and
imagine.
that
it to be.
completes the
Unfortunately-
knife portion of our show.
Unfortunately, my father-in-law passed a few years ago, and he had a great knife collection.
Mhm.
And just in the weirdness after that, my sister and brother-in-law to split them up, and I had my eyes on some of them.
Yeah.
And it hadn't happened. I always thought it would, but man, then they started putting them on eBay and selling these for like hundreds of dollars each. I'm like, shit, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just keep selling them.
Maybe I'll just take that money.
Just keep selling them. Like, give me some of that money, but keep selling them.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those vintage knives.
Oh, yeah.
They can
Oh,
really
yeah.
be, well, not even the vintage. I mean, I'm on a site that does raffles. You buy your raffles. They had one today. It was a $4,500 pocket knife, and there's quite a few that are right
It's
around
a
that.
pocket knife.
Quite a few that
folding
are right
knife.
around $1,000 mark that I would really like, but I don't want to care. That's watches too, man. I don't want to
It's a
have
house payment, bro.
like I don't want to. I love Breitling watches, but I don't feel great about a $4,000 or $5,000 watch on my wrist. I
Oh
don't-
yeah, I'd
Bro.
feel very weird doing that.
See,
Casio.
what's that? $4,000 for that? That's vintage, right?
oh, easy.
Yeah. See.
For
That's the price of my car right there.
4,000 pennies.
Yes. He's like, I could literally buy 1,000 of these watches.
Also,
for
still the
$4,000.
price
Yeah.
of my car because I've got a really old crappy car.
I used to think if
Fuck.
ever I had money, I would want a really nice watch. But
Yeah.
now I actually don't want anything touching me. So
Well, I've got
This thing will
used.
tell me
can't
the
even
time
wear
and
a
part.
watch. My Apple Watch is so functional.
Right
All the data
There.
and stuff it gives me. I wouldn't want to get rid of it for a dress watch
And it's
because
rubber.
of the functionality here.
And you're also not
functionality,
waterproof.
connected.
you're not tethered to time, man. You can live however you want to live. You don't got your arm telling you what time it is.
Time
it could
is
be
a
whatever
human
time you
construct,
want it to
man.
be, man.
Time's a
Actually,
human
knowing
construct.
what time I actually probably should be more tethered to time.
Yeah.
As a business owner,
Hey,
it
you
would
were
make
on,
sense.
You were on time here, man, and
Yeah.
that's what's important. So
I mean, I was hoping to get
Yeah.
there like half an hour before we started. It was 10 minutes though.
close
Traffic
enough,
was
man. We
bad,
did it.
dude.
We did it.
I mean, for a
Traffic
guy who
is bad.
doesn't have a watch on his arm, that's actually
That's
good
pretty
showing. Yeah.
Jason
Well,
licks
we
his
were
finger and looks
finishing-
up at the moon.
were
He's like, I
doing,
need to head out.
We've never done this before. We did an oyster stout today.
Okay.
So had to be
All
there
right.
for like oyster shells in the hot bag.
I
and
am interested.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
use meat too, or just shells?
Just the shells. I mean, they were meaty.
Because
some of
that's
them.
it's really the calcium and brine, a little brininess that you're looking to get from that, right?
Yeah, and the liquor and
Yeah.
whatever.
All right, cool.
So-
I look forward to trying that one. I like oyster
We
stouts.
call it
so-
perla.
Okay,
Perla.
perla.
It'll be another one of our. I mean, we do this Italian pills for this restaurant group like Grana and
Uh-huh.
White Bull. So this is another one for them.
Okay. Is this exclusive to them or
It'll be sold elsewhere too.
okay?
Do you know
And
what
at the brewery.
do you know what the
We'll keep
inside
an
of
eye.
an oyster is called? The naker.
Really?
The what?
I did not know that.
Naker.
The baby
Like
naker?
the meat or
No, the inside of the shell. So whatever color the naker is what color the pearl will be.
Oh.
Oh,
I thought that was mother of pearl. The stuff in where's mother of
called-
pearl
it's-
come from?
I'm sure
Is that
that's
from the
what-
naker?
From the naker.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Technical term for it is the naker. Naker.
So you probably want a naker like they for mother of pearl. They usually like to get the rainbow, the colors in it,
Mhm.
but you probably don't want that if you're looking for a good pure pearl, right?
Yeah, you probably want it white, but there's hundreds of colors. It's crazy.
I had no idea.
I had no idea.
I've seen like gray, black, yellowish, white.
Yeah.
Huh.
Rose, lavender. They're all they're
Yeah.
Teal.
Red plaid,
Nobody likes the brown one. though.
tartan.
I was gonna
They
say
just
the
look like
black,
rat-
but
The
yeah.
brown pearl. That
It's like a
sounds.
rabbit turd.
That's like an against the grain beer name, isn't it?
The brown pearl. Yeah.
So, all right, guys, let's jump
That's
back
the
in
imperial
here.
version of the
Imperial,
brown note.
right?
It's the oyster stout.
Let's talk beers. We've covered everything else. Back to beer.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Shake it back!
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I'm going to give a quick shout out to one of our great radio affiliates, KLID 1340 AM on Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Catch Beer Guys Radio and KLID every Saturday at 4 p.m. Now let's get back to this beer chat show.
This is a hot topic, Brian. So much going on in the beer world. Expansions are happening, and we saw a new term recently that we thought was pretty interesting: growing down.
Growing down.
But it's just crazy what's happening in the beer industry. Times have changed, of course. The beer we were already starting to see some closures, like in 2019. We were seeing that the plague set up on us, and it just changed the rules there. A lot of people got PPP money and loans and stuff. Like 2020, I think in the state of Georgia, I don't think we saw a single closure.
I don't think we did.
And so, which there should have been some. And it was crazy that, especially during a pandemic, we didn't see any. But here we are, 2022 now. I don't even know if they consider us post-apocalypse at this point. Do they? Are we still in it? I don't know what the rules are now.
I kind of keep seeing people talk about the pandemic like we're on the fringe of it. Like maybe we're not completely out of it, and I guess it depends on who you talk to. Honestly.
I've heard that we're just not really going to get out of it, that it's going to come back around. It's going to be a flu. It's going to be a seasonal thing or what have you.
But when does it stop being referred to as like a pandemic? When does it just say, when people start
when
talking
chicken wing
about
prices
COVID.
go back to normal?
You know what? That's a very good barometer.
Marker.
What's that?
I thought they already had
chicken wing. No, last weekend I was at a brewery that had a 20 rack of chicken wings for $40.
What?
$40
That
for
doesn't
20
mean
wings.
They're paying more than they used to.
I can tell you that every place I buy my wings, I'm about to upgrade to drumsticks only. Just like give me a 12-pack of drumsticks because it'll be cheaper than 12 chicken wings.
So the entire chicken is cheaper than the wings.
We'll keep an eye. We do watch the chicken wing index quite closely, so we'll let you know what the markets say.
I mean, we don't have a kitchen, so what do I know?
Yeah, right. Who knows, man?
So
who knows?
I have noticed that I think some of the prices have come down a little bit, but I think that I think you've got the whole supply chain thing. So I think even if the wing prices are really lower than they were, it's getting hidden by the fact that you simply can't get stuff.
Can't get them. Supply and demand, chicken wing prices. But, interesting, talking about growth and expansion here in Atlanta, Brian and I went to Sweetwater Brewing recently, one of Atlanta's staple breweries, historic Atlanta. If you say Georgia beer outside of the state, people are probably going to think Sweetwater if they're not beer people. But we sat at the bar at Sweetwater and drank Alpine Nelson, Alpine Duet, Green Flash. I think it's just called West Coast IPA.
Yeah, they're West Coast IPA. Yeah.
And in Georgia, for those not familiar with the laws, you can only serve beer from that brewery there. So because of these expansions, we're getting these West Coast beers as a quote local beer here. But there's a lot going on, Brian. I tell you what, why don't we back into this and start with growing down? Tell us about that.
So it's a little piece that I found. I think it was on Pro Brewer that I found this. Tommy Arthur of Port Brewing says their company they're putting their 30-barrel brew house and tanks up for sale, and they're planning to buy a smaller brewing setup and focus on single and double batch flexibility. And he's coined the phrase. I think he's coined it. They're growing down. They're intentionally reducing the size of what they're doing. It's kind of like the empty nesters selling the house and getting the smaller thing.
The townhouse. Going from the 4-bedroom to a townhouse.
And have you guys ever heard this phrase before, growing down? Is this a new thing?
I haven't heard the phrase, but I mean, I like how he talks about it. Like instead of growing top line, trying to grow bottom line,
making the bottom line better.
I
think it's great. I think it's cool.
I mean, downsizing that's got negative connotation.
It does, yeah.
You say we're downsizing, that's negative. But growing down, a lot of things are about semantics and, rightsizing. You hear that. I'm in the staffing industry, so we hear all the different terms.
I have heard the rightsizing thing, being in IT. Yeah.
I mean, because their volume's already gone down a lot over the years. So the target of, from a peak of 15,000, like targeting 8,000. That's not like they're targeting shrinkage. They've already done that, but they have the infrastructure for what they were doing or more than that. So this is like just making their infrastructure work with where they've already shrunk to.
Jason, if you don't mind me, if there's anything I'm asking here, like I don't want to talk about that, just tell me. But in the time that you started your brewery and where you are now, the plans that you had when you opened, and I know with business plans and all that, you talk about your growth and expansion and where you're going to go. How much has that changed? And how do you feel about where you are now and what the future looks like for your brewery?
Oh man, that's complicated. I mean, my original vision of the brewery was much smaller than what was feasible under Georgia laws. So to open had a much bigger plan, and it worked how it worked for a while. We don't make as much beer as we did at our peak. Like our peak volume was 2017. So we don't make as much, and we've scaled back amount of seasonals and stuff like that. Done much more of a focus on core and barrel aged stuff. So basically cut out the middle stuff.
Okay.
Instead of like throwing, for a while we were doing like 2 seasonals in can. That's just unsustainable. So we stopped that like a year and a half ago. And yeah, so the core focus and the barrel age focus, focus on the things that are special, make people care about us, and have good margins on the barrel side, even though long cash flow lead times.
Sure.
And then the core, and then the new distributed beers, that's just a hard game, especially it's not like we have a big sales team or anything. So yeah, I mean, I totally feel where he's coming from.
Yeah, that's when recently, after we got direct sales laws here in Georgia, there were quite a few breweries that started doing brewery only releases, maybe 2-3 times a month sometimes. And everyone would have a hype marketing campaign behind it. And I made the comment on a forum, they need to slow down a little bit. And I got just torn apart about, are you actually complaining about too much good beer? And I'm like, no, I love the choice. But if your special fancy release is every other week or 3 times a month, it loses the fact that it's a special fancy release, and people aren't going to get excited about it.
It's not that special.
Right. It's just going to blend in with the noise. It has to be controlled there. Yes, I love having good beer. I love going to a brewery and seeing a variety of styles and offerings in there. But if you're hyping up every one, it's just going to become a crying wolf situation eventually.
It's a cash grab at that point.
Yeah.
And eventually people are going to be like, this is ridiculous.
Right. Because, I mean, Cherry Street, you guys do special releases. You had your Dame Beer Day recently, which we're going to crack into one of those lovelies here in just a bit. But it's controlled, right? And
absolutely. There's some that will never get released. It's going to be something that, we hold in such high regard that it deserves its own day. That's fine. One day out of 365 days.
Right.
That's the way it should be. And we'll do, special releases, but it's going to be a quarterly thing. It's going to be something that, we actually put thought into planning it, and we take the time to get it ready and to make sure that it's deserving of something like that, and not just throwing gimmicky stuff out there and just to like you said, build hype, unnecessary hype. We don't need to do that. We stand behind our beer and let that drive it.
That's a really good point. I hadn't really thought about your release system, schedule at Cherry Street, but yeah, it's not very often. It's frequently Dame Beer or the anniversary, 12/12/12. And every time that shows up in the calendar, I'm like, because I'm not seeing it. I see fun new IPAs hitting the shelves from time to time, and I enjoy those. I pick those up when I see them. But when there's a release, like a special, it's been a long time, and now we've got a special beer. That's something, and I kind of miss that from back in the days when releases weren't like an every other day occurrence like we were talking about.
It's nice. Brian, we're short here. We've had a great conversation, but we also do want to cover, in addition to growing down, Green Flash, who we just talked about, they've got a massive distribution expansion going on. You want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So in the opposite of growing down, Green Flash is doing a massive expansion. Their beers are hitting 9 new states, or have hit 9 new states already. They're hitting 9 additional East Coast states in 2023. They're adding 2 new year-round beers to the ones that are available all over the place: an Imperial West Coast IPA and a hazy West Coast IPA. You're shaking your head. I already have a question about that. Is that even a thing? So the Green Flash expansion is a little different this time around than it was before. They're owned by Sweetwater, and they're not opening up a multi-million-dollar brewery to do this. So
they've got it ready. Crazy stuff. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk to you a little bit about home brewing. I can't talk today.
Yeah, one of my questions was going to be hazy West Coast IPA, and I saw you shake your head, and I'm glad you did.
That's so terrible.
Hazy
Right.
West.
Like, yeah, you can do it, but did you ever think, like, should you do it?
And
You
my whole
spent
thing was
all
just
your
like,
time.
is this actually a thing? Because
What is
I don't
that?
feel like this is a thing.
Jason, do you remember the stout you released that was a little light on carbonation and people lost their cookies over it? Was that it? Yeah. I like that.
A
I
thick,
didn't think it.
thick
yeah.
motor oil. Yeah,
Mhm.
abandon all hope.
I thought it was great.
Well, and there's been a few beers that have been
Quite
like that
hurt.
from not just you, but other people. I think
BRB.
I forget what's Sweetwater's their barrel aging program. The whole
Oh, good.
Done. Right?
yeah, it's done.
Woodlands?
Yeah, the barrel aged
There
stout
more?
that came out of that. Oh, is there a little bit more? Oh my God! All right.
You take more.
Yeah,
if you
did the
want.
Woodlands come out that was like completely flat? No, I'm fine.
Yeah, the stout was. I got a little bit. You get you some more of
They
that.
did one that was just like dead flat.
It was like dead flat. It was good, and everybody lost their mind about it. I drank it. I'm like, I mean, I get that it's flat, but this is really good, you know. And this is, and they're not known for this kind of beer, and it was a tasty beer. But you know,
I mean, the unfortunate thing about that Abandon All Hope release was that I was out of town when it was packed.
oh,
And so it tasted fucking great in the tanks and in the barrel and whatever. But it was unbarreled and packed when I was out of town. But I was really excited. I was like, this is going to be a great release. And then like I saw complaints. I was like, what the fuck? And so it actually wasn't carved as much as I would have wanted. But I still thought it was great. I mean, but also like I drink more barrel aged beer straight from the barrels than I do out of bottles. Like,
and
a
it makes
lot of times I actually find that I never like them as much once they're carved.
I
as
just
I do.
and I'm inclined to agree with you. The bigger, thicker, richer beers. I don't know what you need any very much carbonation for. Maybe a little bit to help with some like aromatics or something like that. But you don't need what you get out of like a pale ale or anything else. You don't need that.
Aromatics are so big anyway. It's like
You can't miss them, right? I mean, do you need
It's-
help with that?
you don't need help. I think people just have certain expectations, and so I really like that. We haven't
be foamy.
Yeah, and we haven't done this since it became like a thing to release flat barley wines. But
It's still
still,
Are you saying it's still a thing or still
No,
beer?
they're called still barley wines.
Still.
so I love them, man. Those OEC ones, killer.
We've
right?
got what was it?
So good.
The guys that sent us the box still Lambic that was their
That's
Oh,
primitive.
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 Yeah,
Good
that's
stuff.
that was
Did y'all
their,
say hi to Tyler yet?
oh, we haven't. Hey,
what's going on,
Tyler.
Tyler, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to Texas.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. Glad you enjoyed the show. We're having some good discussion this week. Hot Lambic talk.
The
Actually, we
hottest.
can make a hot Lambic.
We could.
Were you in here when we were talking about this, Jason?
Oh, is that like a
Caramel.
Yeah.
It is.
Have you ever tried that? Have you ever?
I've never done it. No.
Yeah. See that reaction. We're fans. I'll say that we're fans. We notice a difference in the beer.
Hey,
I think it's
I would try it.
it's positive. I actually bought one for myself. I
Yeah.
don't know if I told you that. I used it. I didn't quite get it hot enough, but I had
Did you say that you were referred by the beer guys when you bought it?
shit. I should have said that, shouldn't I have?
I'm gonna hit you with this. This also.
I thought I put my
That
email
takes
address as Beer Guys Radio
Okay,
in there.
maybe
So
they'll
I don't
notice
know.
it.
I don't know. Anyway, I just straight up bought it because I'm like, I want one of these for my house. I took one of the mystery beers that Steven gave us that I think was one of their older pale ales that looked like it was long in the tooth, like really long in the tooth. I gave that a good
roaring.
not as hot as it should have been. I swear it actually kind of revitalized a little bit. I swear it.
Can
like,
I make
was
a
little bit
request
better.
for Christmas 2023?
Mm-hmm.
Can you do a Glue Creek blend?
Maybe.
Yeah, you should do that. We want to mull some up.
We want some mulled Orpheus Glue Creek.
And we'd like it still served in a bag in a box, please. Thank you.
We'll see.
All right. That'd be fun,
We've
man.
done mulled beer,
on that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
make the box like a cereal box.
but we
I don't
haven't
know why.
packaged it. We haven't packaged any.
Frank and
mulled beer.
Lambic.
Frank and Lambic,
Boda
Booberry Lambic.
Boda tier.
So does anyone here remember the cereal Fruit Brute?
Fruit Brute?
Fruit Brute. See,
No.
I knew that was going to tag me as the resident old guy because I think this cereal went away either in the late 70s or early 80s.
Even if it was around in the 80s, like the cereal that I grew up with was bran flakes, corn flakes, and raisin bran and grape nuts.
It's from the Count Chocula Blueberry family.
I mean, it was probably
But it's back.
It probably existed when I was a kid.
Everything
Yeah,
old is new
Dude,
again,
it was
man.
like Life cereal, I think I had when I was a
I
kid.
loved
Life.
Life.
Was great.
That was like a
Wasn't
I
that
could
the
only eat
Mikey
that at,
cereal?
Like
Yeah.
relatives' place. There was too much sugar
There's too
to
much
be
sugar.
in my
Yeah.
house.
Had too much sugar for you? Okay.
I like what was the frosted the wheats, the
Frosted mini
ones?
wheats,
Yeah,
right?
I like
Yeah.
those.
When I went to college, that's all I ate.
Frosted mini wheats.
Do you
And-
remember Frosted Cheerios?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they not? Are they gone now? I don't pay attention.
Well, they
don't
became
eat
heart
cereal.
smart, so I think that they
Oh,
probably aren't.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Oh, the peanut butter Captain Crunch, where it would like
Yeah.
cake up on your gums while you're eating it.
Man,
I was an idiot as a
love
child, and I love that.
how awesome and awful that the American children's cereal has sold that's part of a healthy
the original
breakfast.
pastry stouts are children's cereals.
Well,
Tim.
like-
Part of a balanced breakfast. I mean,
Yeah.
what does that even mean?
You know,
Yeah.
anywhere
Right.
else in the world, they are not allowed to advertise cartoon characters
Yeah.
on cereal.
I've seen where they've taken American cereals and they'll
And they
put
a sleeve over
stickers
it.
or
They put a
something over it.
sleeve over it.
And they have to have a big block on the front that says like sugar content and
Mhm.
stuff because seriously, like corn flakes, it's like corn and sugar, like a 50-50 ratio here for Frosted Flakes.
You know, I think you should make it so in America you need nutritional content and no cartoon characters to sell your beer.
That's not funny. You take that back.
You stay away
You
from my
stay that
pastry
what are you
sellers.
talking
Yeah.
about?
No cartoon. Sean, it's been nice knowing you.
Oh yeah,
I didn't say it.
I just think
He
of the,
knows. We like to razz
the
him on that.
calorie content. I mean, all of these like this barley one's delicious. Oh, it's 1,000
Oh,
calories.
never.
of
Oh
barley.
yeah.
I don't think
Never
this is
find
more
your
than
calorie
$500.
content.
Yeah.
500
Never
calories.
find
Probably
your calorie
not, but
content.
500 is high.
It's the most depressing thing.
Well, we were in the studio, or maybe I don't remember if it was a Saturday hangout or after a show, but we drank till like 10 o'clock. And then I go home and see on Twitter where Brian went home and got a what's the stout from North Coast? Old Rasputin.
Oh yeah, an old Rasputin. Yeah.
So at like 1 a.m., he's drinking a 400 calorie, 12-ounce bottle of beer. I'm like, man, I'm not sure this was the best timing on this one.
No, arguably not. But I'm like, I need to put something out on social media to show that we're
That's
doing
it. He
things
did
and
it
we're
for the
beer
gram.
guys.
Do it
Yeah.
for the gram
Yes.
or the twit.
I think we looked at one of ours and 12 ounces was like 600.
Yeah, some of them gets nuts.
I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm done with that.
I looked up Black Tuesday one time just out of curiosity, and it's another one. It's like it's seriously, y'all. We're talking 500 calories and 12 ounces of beer. It's just syrup
I think it was straight up 2,000 calories for the entire
for the 750. It was like
yeah,
a day.
It's like
Daily ration.
I
of
know that
calories.
beer is so dry though.
some years, yes,
Is it?
but I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's been very dry any of the years I've had it. It's been just insanely thick and
See, I found
it's
it
been
to
years.
be, I love the brewery, whatever. But Black Tuesday specifically is in this weird realm to me that I really don't like of beers that are both cloying and not thick enough.
You know who I think nails those? Avery. Like their high ABV stouts. I've said it, Cerise or Cerise Bonbon.
Bonbon Cerise or
Bonbon
something like that. Yeah.
Stellar beer. It's sweet, but it's not too sweet. It's boozy, but it's not too boozy. It's bad and bougie.
I was worried. So I've smelled these barrels before and been tempted. I was worried it was going to come across like peach Jolly Rancher.
So 3 or 4 months in, yes, it was. And we were
Okay,
like, oh my
gotcha.
God. But as soon as the tannins and stuff took over, you get this like, it's just kind of
That's
this.
great now.
It's crazy, right? So we got a blackberry one, and a strawberry one, and then the toffee ones too. So we put a
Toffee.
bunch of barley wine in the toffee
Wait,
barrels.
toffee,
Holy shit.
Toffee
Toffee.
brand.
toffee
what?
barrels.
So it's not actually peach brandy. It's bourbon. They're old Heaven Hill barrels that they aged these like liqueurs in.
Oh,
So it's liqueur.
that makes sense from the smell. That makes sense.
It's this liqueur.
We're gonna have to get him to explain all this when we get back in the air for sure.
Have you ever had the little chocolates filled with liqueurs?
That's
Dude, those are so
basically
stupid.
what it
I
is,
like those
yeah.
little things though. It's
Those
a
are
nice little
great,
mix.
The
yeah.
peach liqueur that came out of that barrel, they were still like very wet. There was like a gallon in there. Good God. It's like
We've got a really nice
like
apple
liquor
brandy
peach
over here
rings.
if you guys want to pour.
Oh,
of it.
jeez. I like the euphemism. They were very wet. It's like, no, those barrels were half full.
No,
We-
very
they were
wet.
wet.
we got a
Very
maple
wet.
syrup barrel that had like a gallon and a half of Buffalo Trace maple syrup. It's the greatest maple
I was gonna
syrup
say
I've
that's
ever
got to be
had.
delicious.
I-
I
We put
went
12,
to
12, double
I haven't
barreled.
done one of
It's coming
those.
out this year.
Oh,
It's
fuck yeah.
ridiculous, dude. It's so ridiculous. Like,
I-
you can't even.
a way
get you a
for
bottle
eating
of it.
on pancakes. You know, like you don't. Do you
No,
need that on the beer? or-
I poured it all into like giant like mixing bowls that I got from the restaurant, and then poured them out into individual mason jars and gave them to everybody.
Spread them around.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had a
Nice.
bottle of Bliss
Unreal.
maple syrup in my car,
Super good.
but I think I
bourbon.
lost it in the wreck.
Oh,
So yeah, I
that's
went
good
to
stuff. I bought that as a gift for my dad. once.
so good, man. We went to Marietta Diner for breakfast at 10 p.m. one time after doing a show, and the server there that usually helps us, she got to know us in talking about the show and that, and we come in, and I brought my own syrup. I brought the bourbon barrel aged maple syrup in there. She's like, "Honey, did you bring your own syrup here?" I was like, "Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did
Damn
for
right.
sure." She's like, "So
I'm a pro.
that's right."
Say, I had a friend in a band I toured with. He realized that he needed to stop drinking when he was carrying his own blender to parties.
That's fair. That's a fair.
Jeez.
At least
that
he hit that
hand
trigger
blender?
point,
Yeah.
right?
Legend. Like, holy crap.
He's got a cooler
Yeah.
with ice cream and like mixers and things like that.
He's the dude making milk ice cream.
Is
He's
that
making-
a daiquiri? Like, don't judge me.
No, I just like making milkshakes for people.
That's right.
So
It was like, and when he was telling me this, I was like, yeah, that checks out. Now I'm like, you're being crafty.
Yeah.
yeah. This is excellent. I'm still finishing my white curtain.
Oh,
This
thank
is-
you.
this is
I was
stellar.
very happy. That held up.
That
Better
Held up
than
really
you
well.
said 6 years.
6
years
years.
that's been in the bottle. And that is,
It's not
That's good.
dusty at all. It's
Not a-
just, it's almost like it's just gotten this like spice to it.
I was gonna
Like,
say the
it's
bottle
really-
was very dusty. I
really
wiped
cool.
it all off.
Oh yeah,
but
I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Well, you
How
need
does it pair with kimchi pork rinds?
okay. So y'all are sponsored, but here's the thing I was laughing about earlier. I was like, okay, you have a pork rind sponsor. And like I started the show, I had pork rind in my mouth. I was like, oh shit, why? How are they? You should be sponsored by a cheese company, a
Right, not
pork
something
rind
as loud
company.
as
food, yeah.
What's
Yeah.
funny is I looked over right as he
Silent
put,
food.
and we kind of locked eyes.
I was like, don't look at me.
Was that what the laughing
Yeah,
was
that was
about?
it.
Because I look back and everybody's losing their shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening?
I can't.
Jason's like,
pork
I
rind
can't
now.
look at him. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. And he got like the biggest pork rind.
Yeah.
I look at him and he's like,
hawk shell pork rind.
It's like Jason first time with pork rinds.
Right. Holy crap.
No, I just hadn't thought about like no. I
You're like, I'm
can't chew
getting ready to
it
go on
now.
mic.
The other bad thing is if you have too many of them, the powder will collect in the back of your throat and you'll like cough like
Gets a little
dust.
dry.
It's
Yeah.
great for talking on the radio.
I started
Yeah.
coughing a minute ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so talk to Capella. Like
Yeah.
they
But
may not
these
carry
are-
Orpheus, but maybe they'll give you all some cheese.
But this is shout out to our friends at Southern Recipe Small Batch. They sent us some seasonal flavors, cranberry jalapeno. Y'all, this is much better than
You-
like you'd see
you
this
would
and think this is
think,
a
yeah.
weird pork rind name. You know what? I'm gonna get an on air,
Oh, I'm
unsolicited,
excited.
unsolicited review on the cranberry. I'm gonna open them.
I'm waiting to see if Tim can even open
There we
it.
go.
He's so weak from lack of pork rinds. He's
That's
having
it.
trouble
I need some
opening the bag.
protein. All right, Nathan.
All right, let me get a nice
Get
chunky
one.
here.
There we go. Cranberry jalapeno.
All right.
I'm gonna try and go smaller. So Uh-huh.
ASMR.
That is
I think you need a couple of them for it to Hold on. You're having an experience over there. Is it
He doesn't
hallucinogenic?
he doesn't look to enjoy it, if I was guessing.
Strange.
Is it strange?
Oh, that's not even a strange flavor.
It comes across like sumac-y to me.
Like sumac. Yeah, I was like,
I don't even know the taste of sumac, so I can't get
well,
on
like
that one.
eat one of those.
it just tastes like red. Apple, cinnamon, pork rind. No.
Yeah, so it's like
I'm gonna put that
it's
in the beer.
interesting. Like, I don't dislike it.
I don't hate
So
I actually think it's
you know what? I'm gonna be honest. These
it's
taste a little
nice.
different than the last bag.
What?
I feel like the cranberry was more cranberry-y in our last ones. These are still tasty, but I don't think it pops, and maybe it's because of all the other beer. Maybe I'm not doing them justice with the beers we've been drinking.
It's possible. We've had a few barley wines, and I love it. As I've said before, heat to me is a flavor, and it starts building the heat, and I'm like, oh yeah. I don't know why. I'm that heat that kind of comes in after the fact kind of does it for me.
Yeah.
I like the I get some cranberry up front.
I like it is different, and I think that's cool. And it's actually I'd lean towards liking it, but it's an experience.
So
Way
what
more of
is-
an
Definite experience.
than
That
I
was a
thought.
What
rush.
are you able to describe sumac? Like, what's the taste of sumac? Any comparison?
It tastes
This?
red. It tastes like red.
Okay.
and
Red.
slightly acidic.
All right.
Acidic red. Like,
yeah.
Is there any sumac in that? Is it possible that maybe they use that as?
I think I can see because sumacs also can be. It's really probably
It's
not
like
any
bitter.
tannins, but yeah. So I think this kind of cap. I mean, sumac's a great flavor.
Well, I watch a lot of YouTube cooking shows, and I've noticed it mentioned more lately. Like it seems to be a little trendy now in cooking. So
could be.
I haven't tried it, but I've heard people using it.
No, this is worth trying. This is good.
pork rinds, salt, sugar, sea salt, jalapeno pepper, natural flavors, whatever those are, cranberry powder, beet powder, citric acid, and malic acid.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Beet powder.
All right.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I wonder if the beet powder is just kind of a little bit for there's a
The
slight
red.
pink
It's
hue.
They use,
like
they use it
red.
for a coloring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To make it look like there's actual bits of.
it looked like
cranberry.
there's cranberries on there.
Hey, that's fun.
That's super different. Yeah. The jalapeno is definitely there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and
got
it
some-
builds as you
it's
eat
got
them.
some
You'll
heat.
get them.
Yeah.
You'll get it in there.
The more it builds, the more I like it.
I'm gonna fold it up
I
and
think-
put it
well,
behind
the
our
thing is,
handy
like,
dandy
it's
hider board
very-
here.
I don't know. That's the seasonal one. It's very holiday-ish.
It
Yeah.
does, yeah, it does feel.
Yeah.
I told them that they need to bring this out all year round because I would eat these all the time.
Yeah, I
but
dig
that's
'em.
just me. It's
I
just
dig
me.
them. And I did just took a sip.
And I don't
of
have
a,
an aversion to
I
sumac.
got to get me some
but I'm
peach
aware.
cream beer here.
Open it.
Do it.
Doing the apple cinnamon.
Apple cinnamon.
This could
It's
go
like
the
very
pork rind
wrong,
segment.
Or
Oh, that smell.
Oh wait,
They're
is that a good thing?
sponsors.
Oh come on, be kind.
Oh, I mean, it's so opposite. Pork
Oh,
rind.
from
From what
pork
you'd
rind.
expect
I
from
like
a pork
that.
rind.
This
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
fried dough with cinnamon.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
What is sopapillas or something like that? So these are redneck
Churros,
sopapillas,
like churros
man.
or something
Think
like that.
Okay, that's good.
Think
Yeah.
like McDonald's
favorite.
apple pie.
Or like Taco
Yeah.
Bell, the
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
They are like
Mr.
McDonald's apple
Crispinas
pies.
or Crispitos
Yeah,
or whatever. All right.
it does like pork rinds plus McDonald's apple pies from back in the day. Yeah, it's very much like that.
That's not bad. I like that one.
No.
Everybody listening is like, what is going on with now?
Right.
Oh yeah, this is just the YouTube. Hey y'all.
Yeah, well, it's YouTube, Twitter, and
What an
what
experience.
is it?
I'm gonna
Facebook,
edit this
yeah.
whole part of the segment where it's just a chewing.
It's just
part.
crunch, 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 crunch for like 20 minutes.
Then a laugh. Then more chewing.
And then me going, oh,
Oh.
oh. That's why.
Then a quick pause, and that tastes like sumac, and then back into the crunch.
I want to pour milk on that.
have it like a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
I may because I interact with the account a fair amount on Twitter, joking around. I'm gonna tell them we had a review. It's like I want to put milk on that. That's gonna be the official review of it.
Follow them. Porkrinds.com is their website. They're at Porkrinds on Twitter there.
Porkrinds.com.
Oh, wow, they've been
Yeah.
around a
What
while
a
then.
great website.
Right?
Well, that's their handle on Twitter. Yeah, porkrinds.com.
What a great name.
They sent me some or us do-it-yourself pork rinds. It kind of looks like a little disc, and you pop them in frying oil.
I was going to say, have you ever seen pork rinds before they're fried?
Yeah. little.
They look like poker chips.
That was basically
so
it.
weird.
Yep.
And then they just turn
Like
into this.
in a minute they go
So,
from
like-
like looking
they're
like a poker chip.
this thin and like this big around.
So
and
like
it's like,
poppadoms, like Indian poppadoms, if you throw
Where
those
they
in
poof
oil,
up?
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's a little disc and it just becomes this whole big, like awesome wafer, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. I've
I
yet to
did
try the
some at
fresh
home.
ones.
Actually interesting. Like I was actually wondering because it's like it's mainly air. Like how unhealthy are these? And it's really not.
no,
These are meant. These are
Pork rinds there
specifically
with the
meant
air
to not
fryer.
be
Yeah.
super unhealthy, and
Yeah.
they're like high protein, low fat, that sort
Fry
of
'em
thing.
up.
So
yeah,
yeah,
there's 0 carbs in them. It's
I
honestly
got no
like
problem with carbs.
bodybuilder.
Yeah.
he prefers
Yes.
those carbs come from
now,
potatoes.
you could
but
get some pork rinds with this flavor and crush them up and use them in your potato diet. That should be allowed,
there
right?
you go.
Yeah, that's
It's a
correct.
seasoning. It's a seasoning.
That's a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that on a pumpkin pie.
They sell.
Ooh, you got something there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make the crust.
Holler at me, pork
Low
rinds.
carb pork rind. Low carb
that
pie.
would be like sprinkle that on top.
We'll have to ask the
Yeah.
pork rinds people. And I should
Crunch,
mention.
soft.
I think you probably want just. I'm feeling like if you put it in a blender, you might get some weird like texture change. I think you'd have to
Oh,
you'd
yeah,
have to
yeah.
You
it's
gotta
gotta be a
do.
rough
You gotta
chop.
do like the mortar pestle
No,
thing.
I don't think you
You
want anything that might like
gum it up.
Grease
grind
up,
it, and
yeah.
yeah, I think you might gum it
Ah.
up. So like knife chop it.
Oh, okay.
I
Alright.
think.
So they
I
do
don't know. I could be
sell.
wrong.
Maybe
I
maybe
don't
the
think you
bag
have a
with
lot
the
of
bowling pin.
fat content. I think you'd get powdery here. I think you could blend these and just get powder.
At the bottom of the bag,
Maybe.
there is a lot of powder.
Well, they
So-
sell basically powdered pork rinds that you can use in place of like a carb breading. So
Oh yeah, so this apple cinnamon one on top of
yeah,
Some sort of fried pie. What?
just to
No,
use some
I thought- no,
apples
the
and
pumpkin
sprinkle.
yeah,
pie.
pumpkin. Yeah.
Y'all pork
Holy
rind, y'all
crap.
porkrinds.com. Y'all listening?
Pork
Brian will
rinds.
holler at you on Twitter.
Or
We
if
want to
you could
know
do,
if
like
you can.
balls, like the pumpkin pie filling and
Oh, like the
toss
lady,
that
Like little
deep
bonbons.
deep
Yeah.
fried
Bonbons.
that.
Oh my god, dude!
Wow.
See ya.
So at your next big major event, we expect to see one of these.
An assortment of
Or
pork
maybe
rinds.
just potatoes.
Or maybe
potatoes.
potatoes.
I'm actually not. I'm not mad at that. I'm
Tater
okay.
tots dusted in the cinnamon apple pork rinds. I'd eat that.
I don't know.
Sweet potato.
He-
Sweet potato tots dusted.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, there
all
you
right,
go.
I'm
Okay.
in. I'm in.
Are sweet potatoes on board, or are those just a different species?
Technically cheating, but they provide vitamin A, which normal potatoes don't provide. So it's an acceptable.
Yeah, do you have to
cheat.
do a bunch of supplementing when you're on that?
I've heard that you
No.
can survive.
Well, I mean, so like
Vitamins
A
and
and
stuff.
B12 aren't in normal potatoes. So I've found like clams are a great source of both. So occasionally make a soup, those in it. Also,
Chowder.
I'm traveling so much. I'm like, I don't have to worry about supplementing because I cheat when I'm traveling. So
there you go.
Worst
There you go.
dieter ever.
That's right. I cheat all the
Yeah.
time, so I don't worry about
That's
supplementing.
it, man.
well, one thing I
Absolutely.
read about the potato diet was like, yeah, people that cheat like 40% of the time still lose weight. It's like, okay.
I need to check it because if
60% of the time it works every time.
if there was a diet that I could do like noodles and pasta and potatoes, I could slay that diet.
It's called gnocchi.
Yeah, and gnocchi.
Oh, yeah.
I'm down with those too.
Gnocchi would be fine. Like,
Okay.
all sorts
Okay.
of like high fat sauces and stuff
Yeah.
wouldn't be,
Oh,
but
yeah.
the gnocchi itself.
Really, with the pasta shell on it, would that be okay?
Gnocchi is
I
just
think mix it
potato
with
pasta.
flour. Like the flour's fine.
Okay, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
potato and flour.
I'm not an expert on the potato diet. I just
I
assume
had
if
a-
it's not a potato, it's
I mean,
not
I guess
good.
the flour is probably not. Whatever. There's potatoes.
Yeah, there's potatoes.
potatoes.
The important part is there are potatoes.
Can
in
you
it.
have
Okay.
Bojangles bow rounds?
They're not great, so why would I?
They're
They are not.
literally the greatest potato delivery method in the world.
I don't know. I don't
You
know.
must have a crappy Bojangles.
I don't have a Bojangles.
Come out to Woodstock and we'll
I-
hit because they're
I
stellar.
occasionally people tell me, "Oh, Bojangles is great," and I'll be like, "Oh, is it as good as Popeyes?" And be like, "Yeah, it's even better." And then I
No.
go, I'm like, "Why the fuck did I go to Popeyes?"
So here's the
Bojangles
thing:
has the
you don't.
driest biscuits in the
You
world.
go.
They're
No, they
terrible,
don't.
and
Mine
the
like
chicken
fall
sucks.
apart. They're like so moist they
Yeah,
fall
they
apart.
crumble.
Fall
No,
apart
they're not.
biscuits. That's not a.
They're
good
not
thing.
from dry. No, they're like there's moist where they mush, not like crumble. They
Well, you gotta
mush.
cook them too.
No, I look. I
This is
will
so
not
off the
have this
rails right now.
conversation. This is unacceptable conversation. Also, don't go to Bojangles for dinner. Breakfast is
I
where
won't
it's
go
at
for
for
dinner.
Bojangles.
Probably won't go for breakfast.
He won't. He's not doing either
God.
one.
I promise you, Tim, I won't
This
go.
is
I
I don't like this at all.
Well, I don't even have one near
Stranger
me.
danger,
and I'm not
man.
too far away
Stranger
from
danger.
Orpheus, really. So you don't have one near you. I don't have one near me.
Me
either.
and you hit the Popeyes drive-through one time years ago, didn't we?
Did we?
I think we left.
Oh,
We were at some
There
event,
is-
and I gave you a ride home, and I think it was a Popeyes drive-through.
I mean,
you got
there's
chicken
one near the
tenders.
brewery.
You got chicken tenders.
That one on
Yeah.
Ponce.
All right.
That's
You're welcome,
Weird.
internet.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Off the now.
Well,
Nate's gone.
Now there's
Ponce
officially a
line,
dog
and
we're
now
getting
it's
back
Chick-fil-A being
together.
built. I'm like, who would Popeyes and Chick-fil-A next to each other?
Yeah.
Who would go to Chick-fil-A?
You know what's happening
No
in
one on
Woodstock?
Sunday.
You know what they're building right
Exactly
next
right,
to our
yeah.
Chick-fil-A in Woodstock?
A Popeyes?
One of the first. No, that's a mile down the road, half mile down the road. One of the first two Whataburgers in the state of Georgia.
Really? Is right there
On
Town
92.
Lake?
On
Oh,
92.
on 92. That
Yeah,
one.
92 by the Dwarf House.
Dang it. I've
I don't
moved
really
away
know
from
what
there.
Whataburger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whataburger was, I worked for my uncle in Texas for a year, and he was like, hey, you want a Whataburger?
Waterburger.
He
Like
said
A
Whataburger.
Waterburger?
Whataburger, but I thought he was saying a water in his accent or whatever, and I was like, I don't,
That doesn't. I don't think so.
Whataburger
Was it
does
like
not
Do you
seem
boil it?
sound good.
Steamed? Boiled? What?
And I was like, I think I was like 14 at the time. And he brought me this hamburger back the size of my head. And I was like, holy crap. All right, I'm down with
I'm
this.
down.
And then when I lived in Florida, we had one, but I always got the What a Chicken.
Okay.
It was a chicken sandwich this big. Like,
Also,
it
like
was
little
great.
spicy ketchup they do there
Yeah, I don't
at
remember that.
Whataburger.
I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
Texas, and much like, I mean, this is like putting two religions temples next to each other in Georgia. A Chick-fil-A next to a Whataburger.
That's
So,
crazy.
right? Yeah.
There will be feuding.
I
Feuding.
hope
There
you've
more of that
enjoyed this
barley
week's
wine?
show, everybody.
What, the day beer?
Oh, did you not get any? Because I got a
I
little
did.
left.
Oh,
Okay,
I
okay.
did.
All right. Making sure
I
everybody
was
got
just
a
going
little
to
of
be
that.
greedy.
Well,
All right,
I mean,
guys,
you
we
got
wanna
some more
open-
brew.
pretty well.
Do we want to open that now
Do we want
for
to?
our Seg 4 beer?
Yeah. What are we opening?
opening?
Jason's beer.
Oh, you're
Oh,
Let's
perhaps
go.
perhaps this one, or we could. Do I have anything left?
Why are you making this difficult? There's a damn
can
beer on the
open that.
table. Open
Let's
it.
open it. All
We
right.
can open that.
Jesus
We're going
Christ,
to talk about
Brian.
this one, right? Are we talking about that?
We should talk
We
about.
are going to talk
We
about
definitely
that,
should talk
yeah.
about that.
I
one.
drank it all.
I will give you.
Okay.
I will give you the
Oh, look
honors,
at that,
as it is
sir.
your beer of
Dun,
opening
dun,
your
dun,
beer.
dun.
Well, I'm going to slowly drink the rest of
Sippy,
this
sippy.
one.
I'm
but
I'm also
I don't
somewhat
know who
slowly
wants
drip.
some of that now.
I
All
do.
right.
I'm empty over here.
As the oblivion I
Empty.
devour engulfs me.
As the oblivion I devour engulfs me. Okay.
so good.
That's enough.
I don't get first pours often.
No,
It's like I'm gonna make the most of it. You can't stop me.
he's a troubadour. Drinking all that trub.
Troubadour.
No, Mike
What
Nate
is
the
base of-
troubadour.
Is this the Dame beer?
This is the Dame beer. Yeah.
I thought he was drinking
Strong-
his
strong
at first.
Scotch ale?
No, he's still
I haven't-
working on the Dame.
Oh, I
beer.
know Dame beer.
Yeah.
I haven't had.
All right,
it
we
been
got to
released
finish
this
this
year
thing
yet?
off.
Yeah, we just did
We-
Dame Beer
yeah.
Day last 2
We-
weekends ago.
That's right. I was out of town.
Yeah.
We
Everybody
drank
was
a 2007
Outwest.
Hair of the Dog Adam last week.
Nice.
We did.
Mm.
Yes.
That was
Because
the-
you mentioned that you were buying from them. I don't know if you bought it when you
That
were
was-
there.
that
Did
was-
I tell
was
you?
Nick's
Did I
inspiration.
give
You
the
did, and I
Yeah,
bought
yeah.
some, and that's one of the beers I got. Yes,
Dun, 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 dun.
it was not inexpensive, but totally worth it.
Oh my god! And the thing that I learned, unfortunately, I guess this is not knowledge that's useful anymore. Over the years ago, in the Hair of the Dog, figured out on the seller list, you don't get good deals. If something looks like a good deal, it's beer that Alan didn't like as much.
Okay.
Oh.
Makes sense.
So, like when they were doing seller sales and stuff, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna be like all the most expensive ones are the ones I'm getting." So like Adam Batch 2, Adam Batch 10, Batch 14, those are the ones I got because they were the most expensive. That's a terrible way to live your life.
Did it work out for you though? Have
But
they been
every single
stellar?
one has been unbelievable.
Okay.
That's batch 71, 2007. I think that's what it was. It was great. It was really good.
it was okay.
That was great.
Okay.
It was a little past its
Oh yeah.
lovely day.
I mean, that's pretty old.
yeah,
I mean, I
15
was
years.
super
15.
surprised by how well like the 2 and the 10 that I've had have held up. I mean, that's like from the 90s.
What?
From the 90s, huh? Yeah.
The barley ones.
I had one of those Sam Adams triple box from like 94, 95. It was
Here
awful.
they've not held
They
up
did.
well.
They did.
How long ago was that?
I haven't
though?
had any
had
of that, Brian.
5 years, maybe.
I mean, I'm glad I can say I had one on tap at Barley's in Asheville, like 2001-ish.
Oh, okay.
And I was
All right.
impressed. I was like just kind of 2002-ish,
Yeah.
just kind of getting into beer, didn't know anything. But I do remember that beer.
That's cool. Those are always fun, man. I found digging in the depths of YouTube, I found things like Owen Ogletree videos from 2004. Like he's at, or whatever it was, he was with Eric Johnson at Trapeze over in Athens.
Oh,
And they were talking about
back when Eric owned Trap.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, wow, this is some old stuff.
Forgot
here.
about that until
Yep.
just now.
Yep.
oh,
Crazy.
yeah.
It's on YouTube, Brian. Check it out. Go.
I
go
will
to
have to
Owen's
go
channel.
dig it up and go check it out.
Owen, it was 18 years ago, and Owen was 40 years younger.
Yes.
So cool. All right, let's do it, Nate.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/Beer Guys. Patrons get cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. Now let's get back to the show.
Back to the show. You know what? I'm going to make it quick because we want to talk to Orpheus and Cherry Street a little bit more. Other interesting topics, but homebrewing, Brian.
Yes.
November 5th is Learn to Homebrew Day. It is the same every year. So if you have you ever taken part in one or hosted one, Nathan? Cherry Street or you? Have you ever done that?
We haven't. I haven't been there if they have hosted one at Cherry Street, but when I was learning to homebrew, yes, I did take part in a Learn to Homebrew Day
All
at
right.
Dogwood Growlers way back in the
Dogwood
day.
back in the
that's
day.
right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah.
And I know Jason was a homebrew. Did you actually do the Learn to Homebrew thing, or was that you already knew how to do it?
Anything about anybody doing anything back when I was like 20 years ago? It's like I bought my shit on eBay. Like I didn't know.
No.
That's what I was going to say. I knew you'd been homebrewing a long time and that it was probably pre-Learn to Homebrew
So
Day.
about 20 years ago, that was right around when they were starting to do this. I think they actually kicked it off in 1999, but the American Homebrewers Association probably wasn't as well known back then. And
yeah.
back in those days, the internet was still very young. It's like infancy time
Sure.
of the internet. Even 20 years ago, infancy.
But if it's something that you're looking to do, if you're interested in homebrewing, take a look because different breweries, different homebrew clubs, different homebrew shops and stuff sponsor events for November 5th. Your homebrew club, a lot of times they may do just kind of an open invite to someone who hasn't homebrewed. Come hang out and learn. And it's something that maybe even if you don't want to necessarily homebrew, it's pretty cool to kind of see how the lemonade's made, as they say, Brian.
I think one of the best ways to get into it is to find a buddy that's already doing it or people that are doing it. And just watch.
It
You
is.
just like, I'll pitch the hops. Just tell me when to do it. You're like, get used to the process. That's a good way to do it without the stress of I'm going to mess things up. Just
The
check it out.
social aspect of homebrewing and the camaraderie of that has led a lot of people who loved homebrewing to become pro brewers and then realize that pro brewing isn't homebrewing. That's it's Jason, the first collaboration or the first time we ever helped out at a commercial brewery was at Orpheus.
That's right.
Back in the early days, we helped with a batch of a transmigration of souls.
And then you saw that and you were like, I don't
Dude.
ever want to do this.
No.
I mean, our whole recipe is like 15 pounds of grain and you're putting like 50 pound sacks or whatever it was, so we're cutting and pouring and pouring in the grain mill.
I have a picture of me drenched in sweat over the grain mill that was on the floor at that point in
Yeah.
time. I'm not sure if you're still
It's the
using that
same
same one.
one.
Is it the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
one? And I've been pouring sacks. I got good at
It's 45 minutes of
Pulling the
milling in for
threads.
transmigration.
Yeah. We clogged your hop back, so that was fun.
Not strictly us, was it? Was it our fault?
I don't think.
I don't think it was.
We
Probably.
followed directions. We followed
Yeah.
directions.
Probably not very well.
That's likely. That is likely.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
but that alone was enough to let us know that the radio side of craft beer was definitely where we needed to be, where we drinking and talking about it is where we function our best.
See, I like for home brewing, I never actually had a social aspect of it. I did it alone. I didn't even drink when I was home brewing.
Okay.
I just like to focus on making something. And who makes anything anymore?
Yeah. We've got a buddy that is very scientific and methodical when he's brewing, kind of the same way. He doesn't like to drink. He wants to focus on the beer. He used to get so frustrated with mine and Brian's drunk selves because when we did this was a long time ago. We were still fairly young, and I drank more. I'm a fairly light drinker now, to be honest with you. I'll have a like Wednesday, and then we go out Saturday. But back then, we'd have a brew day, and we'd pop a beer when we started at noon and drink till we were done. And he used to get so frustrated we missed the timing on a hop drop, or he's like, guys, pay attention here. We were too casual.
Well, that's the problem with doing collabs with a brewery. You either have one unlucky person at the brewery who's stuck making the beer, or you have a few drunk people making
one of the two, right?
No, I think it's always both. There's always
Both.
one unlucky guy, and the rest of us are just getting drunk.
Well, but right, if there's one unlucky guy, then like the drunk people aren't messing up the beer.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
So it's one or the other.
Stay out of there,
So
guys.
He's
Stay out
unlucky.
of
He's
there.
got to do all the work and cover for the drunk guys.
Yeah, gotta have the one
Yeah,
guy that keeps
so
it
I've
together.
tried like the last couple. I've tried to like be like, all right, I'll try to not have somebody be stuck not being part of the fun, so I'll do it. And they're not the best brews.
Yeah, that's like you know what? It really is not that common for a collaboration brew to be the stellar beer from either brewery.
See, that's why
A
for
fair point.
years,
Yeah.
and I've tried for years. I didn't do collabs because I agreed, like always disappointed in collabs, and my point of view is like if I had a great idea for a beer, why would it be a collab?
It's my beer. Yeah,
It's your idea
And
for a
it's
beer,
not like
right?
for most of the time, like I've had a few collabs that are different, but most of the time when I've done a collab, it's like throw some email ideas back and forth, and you're like you're not gonna get to. Most of the time, you don't get a chance to like get together and really like come up with something special. Just throwing some shit back and forth, and you do it, and it's fun. Like they're fun. That's why we do them.
sure, absolutely.
But it's not necessarily your best ideas. So what I've tried to figure out is like what are things that I can like take from what we do, and what are things I can take from what you do, and like how can those come together? And it's not something that either of us would have done alone.
Makes sense.
So
I
but
mean,
it's
that's-
tough.
I'm down
I
with
mean,
that.
it's kind of that's one reason don't do a whole lot, because there's a lot more to it.
There's some real talk here. Anybody who ever talks about collabs always talks about how great and how fun they are. And Jason's here. Like, here's the honest truth right now. It's they don't come out well because
No,
everybody's
I'm not saying
drunk.
a lot of times they don't. Like I've tried to be like selective about how we do them so that they don't come out like all the disappointing collabs that I had that made me not want to do collabs.
Yeah,
No,
So I'm happy with our collabs.
yeah, it's one of those things. It's always there's so much work that goes into it that nobody ever sees. And I had somebody comment the other day, like, "Oh, this is a collab now. You guys just throwing hops into a kettle now." And I'm like, "Well, you didn't see the months and months of emails back and forth,
right.
the meetings and the driving to Atlanta and then driving back up, and it's just there's so much more to it." And
People-
And we're doing a collab with Barrique in Nashville in like 2 or 3 weeks. Literally, we've been going back and forth for years.
Years.
Oh,
Okay. The long
exact
con
beer.
here, huh?
Like, oh my, this has been. I've never planned on anything longer than I've planned on this collab with Barrique that we're finally brewing November 18th or something.
It's like
this one better be good.
Yeah.
Spending years on it. It better be a stellar
better
collab.
be, yeah.
it's like a
kills it, though.
chess game
Barrique
over
kills it.
snail mail. Like
Yeah. He writes it.
pawn to rook.
My dearest
It's
Barrique.
like, it doesn't help. It doesn't help that Joel is as bad as me about getting back to people.
Yeah.
So we'll each like have messages sent just unresponded to for months, and get back and like, oh, we could do it this time, and then not a response until too long, or it was like, or like set it up and like one of us has something to do. Anyways,
Yeah.
both of us are just terrible about planning. So fortunately, Spencer's with Brewing now, and he kind of pushed this to happen.
See, Nathan, these are the stories that you were talking about. People don't know is the 2 years of emails and waiting and planning and plot.
And we don't advertise that because it's boring.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
the boring, mundane, get to
Yeah.
work.
That's why we
File
save
through all
these
these emails
stories for
and-
Beer
yeah.
Guys Radio.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, we've even had a
Air
lot
the
of
dirty
people-
laundry
Thanks
here.
for giving us an outlet.
Yeah.
You got it, man. You know what? People don't realize with a lot of creative things what goes into getting to the point of actually putting it on. We've had a few people comment that, man, it must be great to work 1 hour a week and just sit around drinking beer talking to people. You know, they don't know about the planning, the scheduling, you know, all that goes into it.
Have we been here for like 3 hours already?
We have
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So, and then we're going to cut all this down to a 40-minute, you know, hour show there. So
I
That's
invite
right.
those people to come hang out with us. for
come
a day.
hang,
Just
come
one
hang,
day.
have a good time with it.
Yeah.
Be fun, man. Jason, what's cooking at Orpheus, man? What do we got to look forward to here?
Well, doing a lot of barrel stuff right now. So, well, open 2 of our barley wines tonight. Like we have a lot more coming in the next few weeks. We have a barley wine fest November 19th.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
Probably have 15 or 16 barley wines on tap. About 3 or 4 new ones in bottles. And the week before that, our Burning Mouth hot sauce competition, and also
All right.
releasing 3 spicy pepper stouts. Ye who enter here. Today I choose violence. Your Secret's Life Volume 3, all slightly different. And on tap are botanical wild beer, the Bridge with habanero. And then we just got lots of
Lots of
barrel
stuff,
That's
aged
a
man.
lot of beer.
If people want to keep up with what's happening at the Orpheus, what's going to be the best way to do that?
I would probably come to our Instagram, Orpheus Brewing. Or
Easy
our
enough, man.
Facebook, also Orpheus Brewing.
Good stuff. Nathan, we're short on time, but tell us, man, what do people have to look forward to the rest?
Always do a couple of big parties. We got our Black Friday, really cool beer releases we're doing. Then our anniversary is 12-12-12. Super awesome barley wines that we do this year. I think we're doing a 7-year vertical, pulling out some stuff from the cellar. And, you know, I think we're releasing 5 12-12s on 12-12
All
for our
right.
anniversary. So really
Cool.
cool stuff. And then, you know, we've still got a few spots left open in our barrel society. So we're pumping out some really cool single barrel stuff that, either we're letting the barrel shine or we're just going crazy adjuncts and just throwing the kitchen sink at it and letting it have fun and doing some, you know, interesting versions of barrel aged beer. So
Sounds like a good
much
time,
like
man.
him, lots of barrel aged beer
I
happening.
Barrels
love
on
this
barrels.
Peach Dame beer.
Peach Dame beer
Thank
is
you.
legit.
Peach
Yeah.
Dame beer.
Yeah, Willet casks that held Peace liqueur, and then we put our Dame beer in it for 12 months, and it's phenomenal. It's, you know, big peach ring flavor, no fruit in it at all. Just let the barrel shine, and you know, it's a part of the job I do now is a lot of barrel blending and stuff, and it's a ton of fun.
Good stuff, man. Cherry Street Brewing on the socials for people to keep up. There you
all the
go.
social medias. We got North Shore, Halcyon, and Vickery locations all have
And
their own location.
no one outside of Georgia has any idea where those places are. So
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga,
Chattanooga,
Alpharetta, Georgia,
Alpharetta, and Cumming, are the
and Cumming,
original spots.
Georgia,
Correct.
Georgia, and Tennessee. There.
Yeah, we're up
We
there now.
invite the locals. They forget that we're a national show here.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
that's
so we're in
it.
Tennessee as well. So come hang out.
Good
Check us
stuff,
out.
guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a good time. We
Dude, thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. That about wraps it up for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show. Join us next week. We're going to talk saisons and oysters with the good brewers at Le Bon Beer Fest. For more craft beer info, follow us online. We are Beer Guys Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers.
We've done it. And I was
What's
looking
that?
up there. I hope our video.
Todd and Ryan.
We don't, you know, we talked, they invite us to all their fests. So I feel like I may not have them on. I think I'll shout them out.
Okay.
I think
We
I'll
should
shout
probably
them out.
Some of the
close out with
Yeah. yeah.
the folks here.
Let me close out the stream, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us, hanging out with us. We appreciate it. If you are around Saturday, Then, what's this? I missed a comment from Tyler. I was lucky enough to be drinking Sierra Nevada Pale Ale back in 92.
Look
For
at
sure.
that.
Back in the
Yeah.
day, man.
Dang.
That's 30 years ago. He's old.
That dude
is old.
Wow.
Man. Gosh,
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Love me
no,
some
I remember the
Cascade.
beer of the early 90s.
I was drinking milk
That's a
back
good-
then.
Milk.
92.
Barely, right? He's barely off the
Nine.
nipple.
I was
at
just
the
drinking
time.
coffee back then. That was
Yeah.
my vice in 92.
Straight out of the gallon at that point.
Yeah.
Chug. But if you're in the Atlanta metro area, we will be Saturday at Le Bon Beer Festival over in Duluth, Georgia, with our friends at Good Word Brewing, saisons, oysters, mixed firm beers, ciders, natural wines, some barbecue, and some music. That's what's going to go down.
Yeah.
So it's going to be great. Come say hello. Come give us a shout. We'll be there doing a show. We all have a great week, and we won't be in studio next week because we're doing our show from the festival.
Correct.
So catch us back here in 2 weeks. Cheers, y'all.